Hello again, everybody. In this video we're going to do a few examples of factoring. First 6 problems here we're going to talk about factoring just using the GCF and factoring out the greatest common factor. So looking at number 1 here, we got 5xy minus 2y. The only thing in common is this y here. So we're going to factor that out, also known as dividing it out. Put it outside of parentheses, and what's left is 5x minus 2. And that is the factored form of that expression. Look at number 2. 10x minus 5y. We can divide out a 5 from each item. And if it helps, you can show the work here by dividing by 5 so you can see how it pans out. 10x divided by 5 is 2x. And 5y divided by 5, we're just left with the y left. So there's an example of where we factored out a number. Remember, factoring out is sort of like dividing out. Now number 3 here, we have the typeset notation for exponents. So x caret 3, think of that as x to the third, 2x to the second, 2x squared like that, minus 3x. That may help us. Sometimes people like to do that when they're typing exponential notation. Looking at this trinomial, we have 3 terms here, and when you say it out loud, x to the third, 2x squared minus 3x, you almost hear the GCF, the greatest common factor. They all have an x in common. So if we were to divide every term by the x, put that x out in front of a parentheses, and what we have left is x squared minus 2x minus 3. There we go. Look at number 4. This is the same thing as saying x squared minus 3x. And it looks like we have another x to factor out. Factor out an x. And what's left after dividing away the x is simply x minus 3. Look at number 5 here. We have a 10x squared plus 2x. Greatest common factor is both a number and a variable. Notice the 2, notice the 10. Greatest common factor of those is a 2. And once again we see x show up in both of them. So the GCF is not just a variable, not just a number, but the quantity 2x. So if we divide away 2x, here's what we get left. 10x squared over 2x is 5x. 2x divided by itself is simply 1. Alright, and then lastly down here we have a 3x squared minus 6x plus 12. Have a focus on the 3, the 6, and the 12. We can take out a 3, divide out a 3, and we'll write what's left. X squared minus 2x. And then plus 4. Alright, so these first 6 here were just examples of factoring out a GCF. Now we're going to get into factoring a quadratic trinomial, and they come in 2 flavors. Basically, a quadratic trinomial has the standard formula ax squared plus bx plus c. In these particular examples, the a is always going to be equal to 1. Alright, so we're really looking at x squared plus bx plus c, where we're just focused on these numbers b and c. Alright, now there's a question we need to ask. Here's the question we ask with these types of problems. What factors of c add up to b? What factors of the c number add up to the b number? Alright, so looking at each of these examples, we're going to get into that. Get my pen here ready to go. Okay, so if you look at number 7, the b number is negative 10 and the c number is 24. So the question we need to ask is, what factors of 24 add up to negative 10? Well, here's 24. And there's lots of ways to get 24, isn't there? There's 2 times 12. There's 1 times 24. There's 4 times 6. Now, if we go through and add these up, notice what we get here. All right, plus, plus, and plus. We would get 14, we would get 25, and we would get 10. We want negative 10. Well, is that even possible? Turns out, yes, it is, because all these factors could be negative. If you take negative 4 times negative 6, you get negative 10, which is the one we're after. You could do that with the other factors too. Negative 4, negative 24, negative 1 would give you negative 25. Negative 2, negative 12 would in turn give you negative 14. But this is what we're after here. We're after this negative 4 and negative 6. So that's going to be the setup for our answer. This simply factors in 2 binomials with x and x. We put a minus 4 and a minus 6. And that is the factored form. All right, let's try it again. This time we have variable y down here in number 8. What factors of negative 14 add up to positive 5? Well, let's focus on negative 14 for a minute. Lots of ways to get negative 14. 2 and negative 7. Negative 2 and positive 7. Could do 1 and 14, but we'll soon find out that neither of those give us what we're after. All right, let's go through and add these together here. See, negative 7 and 2 gives us negative 5. Negative 2 and positive 7 gives us positive 5. Negative 14 and 1 gives us negative 13. If you look right here, this is the combination that works. This adds up to that positive 5 we were after. Okay, so if we use this combination, the y minus the 2 and the y plus 7, that will be the factored form of that quadratic trinomial. All right, let's get back to the normal thickness here. Okay, look at number 9. X squared minus 4x minus 32. And the question is, what factors of negative 32 add up to negative 4? Well, negative 32, you can get that with a minus 8 and a plus 4. They multiply to give us negative 32, but if you notice, if we added these two together, we would have negative 8 plus 4, we'd have a negative 4. This is the combination that works. It's a little bit of trial and error, a little bit of mental math to figure these out. All right, now a little bit tricky on number 10. Notice a is not 1, a is 5. But if we kind of practice what we did with some of these other ones, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over here, we can factor out a 5 from all three terms. We're going to do that here. If we factor out a 5, look at what we're left with. X squared minus 5x plus 6. So now the question is, what factors of positive 6 add up to a negative 5? Well, let's see here. Here's 6. And how do I get a negative 5 out of that? Well, negative 6, we got 2 and 3. See, 2 and 3 added together gives us 5. But I want negative 5. Let's see, would negative 2 and negative 3 work? Yeah, because negative 2 times negative 3 is still the positive 6, our C number here. But notice they add up to a negative 5. So that's going to help us get this factored out. Notice how I'm going to write it. 2 binomials after the 5. X goes here, X goes here. Minus 2 and minus 3. There we go. Let's do one more here. Kind of the same type of problem that number 10 is. Number 11, negative 2x squared minus 6x minus 4. Looks like we can factor something out of everything. And the thing we can factor out is a negative 2. So like I said, factoring out, think of that as just dividing. Pretend that's sort of factoring out. You can substitute the phrase dividing out. Yep, that's a -2, not a -3. All right, here's what we have left. X squared plus 3x plus 2. Question we now ask is, what factors of 2 add up to 3? And there's only one way to get that, 2 and 1. So here's our final answer. Set up the answer with the 2 parentheses. X goes here, X goes here. The only factors of 2 that add up to 3 are 2 and 1. And they're both positive. And there is our final answer. Thanks for watching. Hope this helped.